Ooh, that's a mess. This is what you guys are getting though. Alright, let's start this log. Little caveman and all, but it is what it is. So the motto for me this week has been I guess lift like no one else is looking, and just kind of do things without distractions. I think that is I think for anyone, especially nowadays with social media, it's very hard to just kind of focus on yourself. This is that YouTube light, that Instagram light, the kind of lighting that I refuse to use.
You can't flex fat, brother.
It's very hard to do that. And I think once you have decided to be competitive in a sport, you can't help but to look at the competition. And natural bodybuilding the last few years has just become something else. It's been insane to watch. I mean, I think there's just so many amateurs out there that I'm like, dude, had you been competing when I was competing, you would have had a pro card. And then the pro ranks are just getting more and more ridiculous, and I can't help but like have that influence me. And one thing that I always tell myself is that like I don't ever want to be standing there backstage as they line us up. I know for me, every time they do that, when they line us up, I put us like all lightweights, get in one line. I can't help but just kind of go through basically everything I did to get there to that moment. And I think in the past, like one thing that I keep coming back to is like, did you do enough in terms of effort? And usually it's yes, it's a yes, I did. I'm usually pretty happy with my efforts. Secondly would be, did you do everything did you do all the right things, or whatever you knew was right? Obviously every single year, every few months, there's things that I go through in my head and I'm like, whew, I used to think that was the best way of doing things, and often I find myself taking them back, and I'm like, okay, maybe we weren't exactly on point with when it came to that specific notion. That's a good thing though, because again, that's how being wrong is a good thing, because then hopefully you're a little bit closer to right with your next assumption. So usually, there's a host of things that I learned over the course of the prep, and then there's other things that I knew better, but perhaps I didn't do better. And that's an issue for anyone. It's an issue for me. So I think that's probably going to be the one thing I'm going to be a lot better of this year, is just kind of like lift like no one is looking, bodybuild like nobody is looking. And again, I think I do feel sometimes pressure, like a lot of you guys, to be like that person, or in my case sometimes like stay at a certain standard, like because there is, at this point, I've been doing this long enough where people do definitely look to see what I'm doing, and I definitely want my work to be impressive. But sometimes I think what that can do is again, it can kind of alter my path. Again, it's like, you got X amount of weight in the bar, everyone's looking at you, so maybe put a little bit more than you needed to, and that's at the micro level. But at the macro level, it's just a host of decisions that you make along the way. I'm guilty of that, and I need to change that. So that's probably the one thing that I've really thought to myself, is that I think I made the best progress. But not only that, I enjoyed my my training the most when like there was a little bit of like blissful ignorance there, and not necessarily when it came to how I approach things, but when it was just me in the gym, and just me against my weights, my bodybuilding. So trying to get back to that, and I think because of that, it's going to allow myself to be a lot more open with you guys, and not just skim along the surface the way I feel like sometimes I have been. So my apologies. Let's roll through with the week, and that's it. Can dogs eat mango? Can dogs eat mango?
According to Ultimate Home Life, you should also make sure to remove any seeds inside the mango before feeding it to your dog, because dogs can't digest mango seeds and they contain cyanide.
Lucky, Paul. You're lucky. Come here. Haley. So this morning, I decided that I am going to stop dieting. I am done. Main reason, I've lost about close to 10 pounds in a month, and it's lean enough where I can start adding maybe 10 pounds over the next 6-7 months. So that is the plan from here, is to the rest of this year and maybe a little bit of next year gain a little bit, and then start looking for some shows at some point in 2016. But yeah, we're done. We are done. Adherence was at about 80-90%, but that's about where I like it, to be quite honest. The main reason is because I like to be in control of things. I like to be in control of my diet. I like to be in control of my training. I don't like it to be overly, like, man, I don't like being neurotic. I don't, that's just not me. So how quite often I'll have days when I'm like, I don't want to freaking diet, or a social event comes up and I'm like, I'm not dieting. I'm just, and what I resort to is not like, I think most people, when they kind of sort of make that F it call, I mean, they go F it. They literally go to the point where they are, how do I say, they just, it's like a childish tantrum, whereas when I do that, it's like, I'm going to eat like an adult. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to eat like an adult. I'm not going to overindulge myself. I'm not going to get to the point where I feel uncomfortable. I'm just going to get what I want, enjoy my company, enjoy my day, but eat like an adult. And I think if we go back to that, I think we're all capable of that. And to a large extent, we know what is right and wrong, like adults. You'll be cool. So that's what I do. About 20% of my days have been in that fashion. So yeah, no, we haven't been overly precise, but I think that's fine. It's a mini cut, and I got about 10 pounds in a month, so I'm amped about that. Yeah, so I'm in that weird phase right now, though, where like you just like, it's gonna take a few days of eating and just I guess, yeah, eating enough for me to just kind of look like I lift. Right now it's like one of that like flatty, weird, odd look. But yeah, we'll probably diet until Wednesday. Wednesday's when I leave to London, and it'll be nice. I'll get to kind of try the food, because that's the one thing about traveling, is the culinary stuff is part of the experience. And if I've never tried that, hey, give me some of that. 2 beers, please. Yeah, 2 beers, please. That sort of stuff. So I'm excited about that. Really excited about that, actually, especially since the whole crew gonna be there. And I think none of it. Oh, Jeff is dieting. All right, but he would just be an adult for a few days. That's exactly what Jeff will do. That's where we're at, though. So I'm gonna keep drinking coffee, because that's what adults do. They drink coffee, right? Yeah. They drink coffee. Peace out, folks. Polly Haley, Polly Haley, where are you? Where are you? Polly is a brindle, Polly is a brindle, Haley's blue, Haley's blue. Get inside, come on, let's go. Thank you, so polite. So this has been the deal lately. I just finished up my last training block, which was that lower frequency training, where basically I was hitting things every 5th day, which to me is quite low compared to my usual. Usually, like minimum, I'm running like upper, lower, or full body. Um, since I will be traveling to London this week, and I expect to train because it's a fitness conference with Shredded by Science. You still never know. I might not want to because I'll be in London. There might be something else that I'd rather do. But just in case, I've instead of starting my training block, what I've decided to do was to kind of YOLO it to some extent. So what I've been doing is basically every single day this week I've been going in and getting a full body training session, and it's been in the much higher, it's been in the higher rep ranges. And main reason I went for this is just because usually I recovered quite well from those things. I think so long as there isn't, I guess, too much muscle damage from heavier eccentrics, which is going to happen with obviously heavier rep ranges, I tend to do quite well. Like I can make it burn, brother, and I'll be fine. Like the very next day. So I've been basically doing about 3 sets per body part, and living in the 15 to 20ish rep range. Quite easy. Like I wouldn't say anywhere too close to failure. Definitely sometimes by the last set I get a little bit closer than I think, simply because I'm not used to some crazy thunderstorms outside. We'll keep that. I'm not used to these rep ranges, so I don't know necessarily what 3 reps in the tank feels like all the time. However, I am really digging this. It's just been a whole lot of fun. So I think perhaps when I get back, I'm going to do something very similar. We'll just have some sort of strategy in play. I love how first of all, how it makes me feel. I get to move every single joint, which just outside of the gym, I feel so much better. It's like even when I'm not necessarily pushing a certain body part, like for example, on this day, I think my pull downs is the one thing I kind of cruise with a bit more. They just tend to feel better by the end of it. I don't feel as beat up, which is obviously I'm not training as hard, and I'm not training too progressively, and I'm just going in and just kind of dancing. And I think in the past, this is perhaps something I would not have told you guys, just because sometimes I'm afraid that people will mimic things without critically analyzing their own situations, and making context-based decisions. So I definitely I'd much rather be on some kind of strategic program. In the past, I've ran a lot of full body training cycles, and I love the way they worked. However, it's usually been a wide cocktail of rep ranges. However, I think just from a health standpoint and how excited I am to train when I keep things in the higher rep ranges, I think it's just because generally I'm pretty good at higher rep ranges. For example, 2014, which was the last year where I was I consider myself that year a dual athlete. I was powerlifting and bodybuilding. I was able to at that point get 500 pounds on the deadlift for over 10 reps. However, I don't think I was able to pull 600 pounds. So I'm just good at reps. So I'm able to work up quite a workload. I'm able to recover quite well from these and progress quite well. So it's kind of like hey, maybe this is a sign. So again, when we come back, we're going to decide exactly what that looks like. Now have the guys over there so they can kind of help me formulate something perhaps. But I mean, I'm excited, and this whole week of kind of doing this this YOLO type training has actually been a lot of fun. Kind of brought me back to my I guess my initial stages of bodybuilding, where I didn't necessarily run a program, but I was very good at making the right decisions for that day. And I do think that is something that as a more advanced bodybuilder, to some extent, you have earned the right to do that. Jeff Alberts does that very frequently, and I think a lot of that is just you have a lot of data on yourself at that point when you've been doing this for 10 plus years. So it's definitely something that you shouldn't ignore, even if it kind of goes against what is known as best practice right now. So yeah, just this whole week was a whole lot of fun. good pump almost every day that I was at the gym. One thing about these high rep ranges is that it's very easy to get a little sloppy with. Like for example, here I was extending my elbows a bit too much. Usually I like to keep a little bend in my elbows when it comes to when I am rowing or doing a pull down. Simply because that way it's not the bicep that gets it moving, and especially in my case, my elbow flexors really tend to take over. So yeah, that's one thing about these higher rep ranges is that firstly, I don't know necessarily where that wall is. It keeps changing, and I think that'll kind of stop doing that eventually soon here. I'm getting better at them, so it's hard to gauge where I'm going to most likely fail with a given weight should I want to take a set near failure. So that's been kind of harsh, and then also again, it takes a different kind of focus. It's very easy to just kind of get sloppy and go through the motions, and I can see why a lot of guys who are just pumpers typically tend to not make as good of progress as when they switch to something where they're kind of using a wide array of rep ranges, because that is something that the lower rep ranges that like just really thrive, or rather where it's a lot easier to gauge and be progressive with. I feel they just encourage you to move more. However, yeah, there's something to be taken from this. So I'm definitely, again, I'm just excited, and training's been fun and super important at this point. I always look forward to my training, but I think even I kind of perhaps sometimes I'm too bottom line orientated, and I need to look into what is what keeps me happy. So a happy bodybuilder, a motivated bodybuilder is going to be one productive bodybuilder. So that's my piece on that. In regards to the London conference, I will try to get as much video for you guys as possible, so long as I'm not that annoying person with the camera, especially some of the behind the scenes stuff with the guys. There's just sides of Jeff, of Brad, Eric, Andrea, guys and gals that yeah, you guys, I don't feel get to see as often as I do. Can't show you guys everything, but yeah, I think it'd be fun to kind of give you guys a fly on the wall view of what goes on. So look forward to that, and yeah, I think look forward to what is going to be a productive last leg of this off season, most likely. So I'll most likely be bulking up for the next few months, or not bulking up. I don't really bulk up anymore, but trying to put on some last minute muscle, and yeah, hopefully we rack up quite a bit so that we can make it on that stage, and not just be competitive, but really competitive. So that's my goal for my next season, is to just really leave a dent and matter at even the biggest of shows. So yeah, currently this is about, I'd say I'm closer to like 177 to be honest. So this is definitely, I'd say, close to 20 pounds off where I need to be in order to be most effective. Unfortunately, I do have to dip down, I think, at least a few times under 160 on the way to proper contest conditioning for me to say that, okay, I'm fully cooked and I'm done. Let's do this. So yeah, that is it, guys. I'll leave it there, and I look forward to sharing with you guys next week, and also going over any I guess more set in stone training updates. I'll leave it there.